This morning, ABC News suspending Whoopi Goldberg for 2 weeks. ABC News President Kim Godwin saying in a statement, effective immediately, I am suspending Whoopi Goldberg for 2 weeks for her wrong and hurtful comments. While Whoopi has apologized, I've asked her to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments.
This is not good karma, you know? That's what I was thinking at the time. I was two tables away from Trump, and I'm looking on like, man, this is too much, you know?
Now, words matter, and mine are no exception. I regret my comments, as I said, and I stand corrected.
Whoopi Goldberg has officially been removed from The View. And the shocking truth behind her exit might be tied to none other than tech billionaire Elon Musk. What started as bold talk show banter spiraled into a legal war that Musk walked away from $80 million richer. This isn't some petty Hollywood beef. This is a full-blown media firestorm that sent shockwaves across the country. It all started with a heated segment on The View.
Who is in charge? Because I've been saying it for a while.
Yes, you have.
I've been saying that I think Elon Musk believes he's president. I do.
Well, you've been calling him vice president.
I've called him vice president. I called him president because I don't know what JD is doing. Hey, you know who? Stay away from the stairways. Because, you know, people put the leg out to trip you going down the stairs.
That quickly escalated into something far more serious. Whoopi and her co-hosts made wild claims involving Elon Musk and Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. According to them, there was a secret effort underway to silence Donald Trump. It was a heavy accusation, one that didn't sit well with Musk at all. And he wasn't about to just sit back and let it go. Not this time. Instead of brushing it off like so many celebrities do, Elon Musk hit back. And he hit back hard. He launched a massive lawsuit claiming defamation and accused the talk show of crossing a dangerous line. He believed Whoopi and her co-hosts weren't just speaking recklessly. They were deliberately trying to destroy his reputation. According to his legal filing, their remarks painted him as a threat to democracy. A man with the power to manipulate political speech and silence public figures. That kind of accusation is no small matter. And for someone as high-profile as Musk, it was personal.
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go yourself. Offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
Despite the backlash, Whoopi initially tried to laugh it off. She downplayed the controversy, claiming her words had been twisted. In a bizarre moment, she even made an odd excuse about how her cat had tripped her at home, suggesting she wasn't fully focused during the broadcast. But that explanation didn't land well. In fact, it only fueled the flames. Fans weren't buying it, and Musk's legal team saw it as a desperate deflection. To them, it was proof that there was no real defense for what was said on air. Things took an even darker turn when it was reported that federal authorities had gotten involved.
I don't think Whoopi Goldberg is very smart. Sorry, we've criticized her in different contexts before, and she just, maybe smart is not the right word. She is not knowledgeable about the things that she argues about.
Law enforcement launched an investigation to determine whether Whoopi's comments posed a threat, not just to Musk's image, but to national security. That's when it became crystal clear. This was no longer just a PR nightmare. This was real. The involvement of police suggested that there were deeper concerns, going beyond mere defamation. The legal storm had officially gone federal. Musk's legal team jumped on that development like hawks. To them, this was all the proof they needed that The View hadn't just made a careless mistake. They had caused actual damage, and they were going to be held responsible for it. Whoopi found herself under intense pressure from all sides. Public criticism was growing louder by the day. Musk's fans were rallying behind him, and The View's producers were suddenly caught in a media tornado. Something had to give, and then it happened. Reports confirmed that Whoopi Goldberg had been removed from the show.
ABC News announced last night that Goldberg is suspended from The View for 2 weeks.
I am suspending Whoopi Goldberg for 2 weeks for her wrong and hurtful comments. While Whoopi has apologized, I've asked her to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments.
Just like that, gone. But here's where things get murky. The official story, vague at best. Insider whispers suggest that Whoopi was overwhelmed by the nonstop backlash. Can you imagine being at the center of a national controversy? Your every word being picked apart by millions? The stress alone could break anyone. Sources claim she needed to step back, to breathe, to get away from the storm. But others don't buy that narrative. Some believe The View made a calculated decision to cut ties with Whoopi before things got worse. Let's not forget, the show has a reputation to protect. With Musk's lawsuit dragging The View's name through the mud, removing Whoopi might have been the network's only hope of damage control. A clean break to save the brand. But was this really just about Whoopi's words? Or does this controversy expose a much deeper problem? The View has always thrived on strong opinions and fiery discussions, but this isn't the first time they've landed in hot water. Over the years, the show has been called out again and again for spreading questionable claims. Critics have long accused it of blurring the line between entertainment and journalism. And when that happens, facts often take a back seat. This Musk-Whoopi showdown dragged all those criticisms back into the spotlight. Viewers across social media erupted, questioning whether the show had turned into a reckless platform where drama and outrage matter more than truth and responsibility. People were furious.
I think it's a little weird that her network suspended her for sharing her view on The View. I mean, if she's remorseful, why send her away? Isn't it better to keep her and then use this as a teaching moment?
I have a question. Do stupid people get to a point in life where they realize that they're, stupid? Because this is what panic sounds like in legacy media.
One person tweeted that Whoopi Goldberg has lied about Elon Musk numerous times while on The View. This lawsuit was long overdue. That kind of reaction wasn't isolated. More comments poured in, calling Whoopi and her co-hosts out for pushing personal agendas instead of reporting responsibly. Some went even further, saying that the show's very existence should be reconsidered. The backlash was brutal. There were calls for the show to be shut down altogether. A growing movement that demanded accountability not just from Whoopi, but from the network itself.
ABC News President Kim Godwin saying in a statement, effective immediately, I am suspending Whoopi Goldberg for 2 weeks for her wrong and hurtful comments.
For many people, this wasn't just about one scandal. It felt like a pattern, a dangerous one. And then came the final blow, Elon Musk's victory in court.
This one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
The billionaire walked away with $80 million in damages, a verdict that sent shockwaves through the media industry. The court agreed that Whoopi and her colleagues had made damaging and false claims. The judgment wasn't just a win for Musk, it was a wake-up call to media outlets everywhere. The days of saying whatever you want without facing consequences? They might be over. Musk's fans celebrated the verdict like it was a personal win. After years of seeing public figures dodge accountability, this felt like justice. For too long, some talk shows have operated with little oversight, making bold statements without having to back them up. But this case changed that. It made one thing crystal clear. Being famous doesn't make you immune from the law. And with Whoopi now gone from The View, the fallout is far from over. The ripple effects of this controversy are just beginning. Her departure is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. This was never just about one comment or one show segment. It's about power, influence, truth, and what happens when media figures go too far. The aftermath of Whoopi Goldberg's exit wasn't quiet. It was explosive. The View, once a staple of daytime television, suddenly found itself at the center of one of the biggest media scandals of the year. The show's producers had hoped removing Whoopi would calm things down, but instead, it only added more fuel to the fire. Questions were flying from every direction. Was this about accountability? Or was it a desperate attempt to shift blame and avoid even deeper trouble? Across social media, battle lines were drawn. Some people were outraged by the network's decision to fire Whoopi. Others demanded even harsher consequences for the show and its producers. Viewers argued whether she was being made a scapegoat for a system that had long relied on controversy to boost ratings. For years, The View thrived off its no-filter, say-anything style. But now, that very format was under the microscope like never before. People were starting to ask hard questions. Had The View become too reckless? Were the hosts allowed to say whatever they wanted without accountability? And more importantly, was this Musk lawsuit the final straw that exposed years of unchecked power behind the scenes? The answers weren't simple, but the outrage was loud and relentless. Insiders claimed the show's producers were scrambling. They didn't just lose one of their most recognizable hosts, they lost public trust. Executives behind the scenes were reportedly in a panic, unsure of how to salvage the situation. Musk's lawsuit wasn't just a financial blow, it was a reputational disaster. And it cracked the glossy surface of a show that many once believed stood for open, honest conversation.
There will be no escape.
That is so insane.
This is the final. This is it. This is the last chance.
Instead, what was left behind was a toxic mess, one that the network could no longer hide behind scripted apologies or carefully crafted PR statements. The public saw through it. The cracks had become canyons, and they were growing by the day.
This is not good karma, you know? That's what I was thinking at the time. I'm looking. I was two tables away from Trump, and I'm looking. I'm like, man, this is too much, you know?
Meanwhile, Whoopi wasn't staying silent. Though she didn't give formal interviews, close sources said she was devastated. She felt betrayed, isolated, and overwhelmed by the backlash. For someone who had been in the spotlight for decades, this wasn't just another controversy. This was personal. She reportedly believed that the show used her as a shield to protect itself from Musk's wrath, and then dropped her the moment things got too intense. But public sympathy was limited. Many saw her as the architect of her own downfall. After all, the comments made on air weren't taken out of context. They were broadcast for millions to hear. Whether intentional or not, they had real consequences. And in this case, those consequences were historic. Never before had a talk show host's words triggered such a costly and public legal battle. This wasn't just a bad take. It was an $80 million mistake. Even longtime fans of the show began turning away. They felt disillusioned. Some admitted they used to watch The View daily, but after this incident, they could no longer support a show that, in their eyes, had lost its moral compass. Trust was broken, and for a talk show that built its brand on open dialogue, that kind of loss was devastating. Meanwhile, Elon Musk was riding high. His legal victory became a rallying cry for those who believed the media had gone too far for too long.
This one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
Musk himself posted cryptic messages online, hinting that this lawsuit was just the beginning, that there would be more challenges to media figures who used their platforms irresponsibly. He didn't name names. He didn't need to. The message was loud and clear. No one is safe. This sparked even more fear behind the scenes in other media circles. Hosts, producers, and executives from other networks were suddenly reviewing scripts, pulling episodes, and re-evaluating past commentary. Nobody wanted to be next. A new era was beginning, one where words could cost millions and reputations could collapse overnight. But not everyone agreed this was progress. Some critics feared this might set a dangerous precedent. If public figures could sue shows over controversial statements, would this silence dissent? Would media personalities stop asking hard questions just to avoid lawsuits? Was Musk's win a victory for truth, or a warning shot to anyone who dared to speak against powerful people? The debate raged on, with passionate voices on both sides. Some said this was accountability at last. Others called it intimidation disguised as justice. And right in the middle of that debate stood The View, trying to recover from a scandal that refused to go away. The network announced that it would be reviewing its editorial standards moving forward, a vague promise that did little to quiet the noise. Viewers demanded transparency. Some even created petitions asking for a full investigation into how the segment involving Musk was approved to air in the first place. The demand wasn't just for Whoopi to take responsibility. People wanted answers from everyone involved. And yet, amid all the chaos, some voices pointed out something darker. They claimed that Whoopi's firing wasn't just about Musk, but part of a larger shift in the entertainment world. A shift where networks are quietly distancing themselves from outspoken personalities. A shift where being too bold, too opinionated, or too controversial could get you erased fast. In that light, Whoopi's removal felt less like a punishment and more like a warning to every host, anchor, and media personality that the game had changed, that the days of being untouchable were over, that now every word, every comment, every offhand joke could be weaponized, scrutinized, and turned into a lawsuit. This entire saga has left a bitter taste in the mouths of millions. The courtroom may have declared Musk the winner, but the public is still wrestling with what this means. Was this justice or censorship? Did Whoopi deserve to be removed, or was she sacrificed to protect a brand? As the dust settles, one thing is clear. Nothing will ever be the same. The View is no longer just a talk show. It's a symbol of a media industry in crisis. And Whoopi Goldberg. Whether you see her as a victim or the cause, her fall from grace is now part of a bigger, messier story. One that's still unfolding. Because behind the lawsuits, the headlines, and the apologies, there's a question no one wants to ask out loud. What if Whoopi wasn't entirely wrong? What if her controversial comments hit a nerve not because they were false, but because they were too close to something powerful people didn't want exposed? That's the kind of question that keeps people up at night. And that's why, no matter how this ends, it's far from over.